is Anarchast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I have a good friend coming in from Mexico City, Jose Rodriguez. He's the founder of Unisend, which was the first Bitcoin exchange in Argentina and doing very well there. And it's also expanded into Mexico now, and he's also going to be at Acapulco. And actually at Acapulco, almost all day Sunday is going to essentially be Bitcoin Day. Bitcoin 2.0, Internet 2.0, things like that all day Sunday with people like Cody Wilson, Roger Ver, Jose Rodriguez, many others. A lot of the people from the Mexican Bitcoin community will be there, so that'll be great. And that's, of course, February 27th to March 1st. But before we get into all that, Jose, I have to ask you, how did you become an anarchist?
Hola, amigo.
Hola.
Well, I think it first started when I saw the economy and finance here in Mexico. It was a long time ago when they had the last big crisis here in Mexico in 1994. I was young, but I wanted to understand what was happening, and there's when I started seeing that most of the problems in the economy were actually caused by the government. And the more I got into it, and the more I started investigating and grew up and started learning about economics. Well, you see that most of the problems that people have is, firstly, that they don't have enough to live, that they have this crisis like we used to have very often in Latin America. It's not so often right now. And most of the problem was the kleptocracy and the government. And when the government also got into collusion with business people and started making business and harming the country itself. So that's when I started questioning, well, what's the real use and what do they use all this money for in Mexico, like in many countries? So that is how I started to question more and more and seeing that this system is actually more harmful than it's good.
Yeah, much more harmful, and there is no good that it does, including central banks. And I know you've worked for a long time in the banking industry, and you were quite instrumental in exposing quite a bit of the corruption in the Mexican banking industry. So that probably showed you sort of how the central banking and the statist banking system all works, and probably another reason why you like Bitcoin so much.
That's right. Unfortunately, most people get corrupted either by power and mostly by money. And when you see all the money and it's suddenly apparently so easy to do, and you started bending the rules and breaking them, and you see that there aren't any repercussions of doing that, well, people started getting more corrupting not only themselves, people around them, and also the system. And you see it how it grows and grows and grows, and suddenly you're having these crimes, and people are getting harmed, and their economy, their family, and it gets contaminated. So yeah, unfortunately, I had seen corruption firsthand, which for me it was such a stressful experience. I didn't expect people to go that far to make crimes and whoa, ruin your life for the rest for having some money at the time.
Yeah, it's quite amazing how many people will do those sort of things. And of course, Bitcoin isn't immune from corruption in general. If you have, for example, exchanges, we've seen already, of course, Mt. Gox, where money was stolen. We've seen just recently, I believe it was Coinbase, or was it Bitstamp? Bitstamp, yes. Some other funds were stolen. So there's always going to be theft, unfortunately. But the real key to Bitcoin is the actual Bitcoin itself can't be corrupted. So there's no person who can take over Bitcoin and print up more Bitcoins. And that's really one of the most important things about it.
Yeah, that's right. The system, Bitcoin is not only the coin, as we most know, and I hope more people will get into this and see that it's not only a coin, but it's also a system. One of these applications, of course, is Bitcoin, and it's also a financial system. It's the most transparent and uncorruptible system I have seen from the insights up till now. If you look at banking, if you look at financial services, if you look even at central bank systems, there are ways to edit or cancel or erase records, and suddenly money can appear and disappear inside the systems, and that is how basically frauds are made. And that is something that in the Bitcoin blockchain system has not existed. Not even one Bitcoin has been forfeited since its beginning. And for me, it has been a very powerful and transparent financial weapon that you can use everywhere in the world. And we are just seeing the tip of the iceberg right now with the coin.
Yeah, absolutely. You wrote me a excited text message on WhatsApp earlier this week when I believe it was Coinbase raised over $75 million with a lot of really big investors, including the New York Stock Exchange. So you were really excited about that. Tell me a bit more about why you were excited about that particular transaction.
Well, it is one of the biggest investments that we have seen to date, $75 million, which I think gave them a valuation in Coinbase for $450 million, which is also one of the biggest valuations we have up to date. And not only that, the people that are backing this up, one of the investors are the New York Stock Exchange. So they are actually seeing into the technologies, its reach, and how could they help it, and be a part of the company and what they could consider, but I actually do consider the future of finance. That was one of the investors, and I think once you see the New York Stock Exchanges in, other stock exchanges and financial companies are going to start wondering, well, what are they going to do? And not only him, we saw the former CEO of Citigroup, Bikram Pandit, who actually was a CEO during one of the most rocky eras in the last years. Since the crisis, he was appointed CEO and left a couple of years ago. And well, before being the CEO of Citigroup, he was an investor. He actually had to sell his hedge fund before entering Citigroup because of a conflict of interest. And afterwards, he started. We had seen him in various conferences speaking about Bitcoin and the technology. But well, he did what most people don't do. He put his money where his mouth is, and he's also one of the investors, and also the CEO of Thomson Reuters, the former CEO of Thomson Reuters. That well, we had seen Bloomberg jumping in, putting the Bitcoin and their quotes about a year ago, and now we actually see someone that is a direction of a financial information company, one of the biggest and top worldwide, also hopping in. And well, another of the big investors we see is BBVA, the Spanish conglomerate, the financial conglomerate that has bought big banks and banks all over the world. They actually own one of the biggest banks here in Mexico, Bancomer. And for their venture fund, they also invested in Coinbase. So it's exciting not only because it's the biggest investment, but because of people who are behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the mainstream financial people are starting to wake up. Not a lot, actually, but a sizable amount of very serious investors and people in the mainstream financial industry are really starting to get into Bitcoin. And you were just on the Max Keiser report in Mexico City, as was I. We were just actually in Acapulco before that with Max, and he's very excited about what you're doing, and I think he's trying to help you with Unisend. For people who don't know, why don't you tell people what Unisend is and what you're doing right now and how you're looking to raise funds?
Yeah, Unisend was the first exchange in Argentina. Our plan is to expand to all Latin America. We're currently since September in Mexico, and what is basically is an exchange where people can change their fiat to Bitcoin and vice versa. It gives them an open order book in which they can place a price that are more convenient to them or make an instant buy and sell at the market price that they believe is fair. With this system, what we're creating is a way for people in Mexico and Argentina to buy their Bitcoins and have an easy access with a very friendly platform. And up till now, we have been looking for investors, and fortunately, it seems like also Max got interested. We are doing some businesses with him, like the silver coins we're planning to have for Anarchast. And it's great because he has some similar ideas as me as to what the reach that Bitcoin can have. And he has his crowdfunding platform, StartCoin. he started his coin, StartCoin, which is being used for crowdfunding, and now he is putting his friend from Bank to the Future, which was a crowdfunding platform that actually bought equity into the crypto world, for which he is also going to accept the StartCoin as an investment. So for me, I mean, whoever wants to make this ecosystem grow, invest, and have this developed, have this growth that it has a potential to have, it's great. People that have the similar mindset. And so what we are planning on doing is seeing if we can, besides the private investors that we have been talking with, have a Unisend set up in this StartCoin and also in Bank to the Future, and make an alliance with them. And actually, we are going to give you the preview right now. We are integrating MaxCoin, sorry, not MaxCoin, it's the StartCoin into Unisend for people to actually exchange their StartCoin for Bitcoin and for Argentinian pesos and Mexican pesos. So they will be able to use both platforms, StartCoin for Kickstarter-like backing projects, and Bank to the Future for actually having some equity on companies that are up and rising. And there, we're going to also have a listing.
That's great. And Unison started in Argentina, which was a really perfect place to start, given what's going on with the Argentine peso and what is continuing to go on with the Argentine peso. I know you had a few problems with banks down there. Did you get that resolved, and how's business going in Argentina?
Yeah. Well, we have been running for this year, and we had a setback on May. There was this new type of, not regulation, but like communication saying that there will probably be more information compliance and regulatory information asked for any bank that wish to do business with Bitcoin. So before this happened, the two of the banks that we used sent a notification on the same date saying that because of this communication, they would rather close down the bank accounts and end up the relation. So because this was both of them at that same time, they left us without bank accounts only to withdraw the money and no longer to receive, which was a big hit to the business. Our volume went down up to 70% in one of the months, so it's a lot. And we depended on that time only on payment processors, which is a little more expensive, and well, also in cash. The difference is that we also accepted money transfers, money wires, which were fast. And after 3-4 months negotiating with banks, and it's so funny in Argentina because it seems like opening an account for a business isn't that easy. Like, you have to write a letter and you have to have contacts. I feel that they're living what we lived in Mexico like 20 years ago, when the worst economic crisis was going on, and that I mean, things could be so simple and easy, like credit and bank accounts, and etc. And they made it all so hard. So it took 2 months of negotiating to open up in other bank accounts and to get them running again. And even then, we are a little bit cautious with the banking relations we have over there, looking for them to, if they have to comply with this information, to helping them out, and they'll have all the that we show them that we actually have a compliance and a KYC and an AML program, that they won't have any problems with our customers and that we are complying to. So, yeah.
And you just expanded into Mexico. Tell us a little bit about your expansion to Mexico, and also tell us about the Mexican Bitcoin community. I know I've been to 2 Bitcoin conferences in Mexico City with you, and it seems to be growing quite a bit, and there's a lot of the Mexican Bitcoin community coming to Anarchapulco. Tell us a little bit about the ecosystem here in Mexico.
Yeah, well, the ecosystem started really taking off last year. When I started with Bitcoin, it was 2013, and there weren't any startups and companies related to Bitcoin. You could only have some Bitcoin if you did a deal through local Bitcoins, which is normally like the first way that most people get their Bitcoins, where there aren't any exchanges, any companies, any startups, or anywhere where you can buy, where you do it directly, person to person. And that's why I started thinking, I really got into Bitcoin, started liking how it worked, and I said, well, I would like to have an exchange here in Mexico. So I started looking for options. That's why I traveled to Argentina and looked for businesses and partners. Fortunately, I found Unisend. And 2013, there weren't any exchanges in Mexico. Right now, there's 3, and a 4th one just came out. And there's also an instant exchange web page too, where people can do a Coinbase-like exchange. So in less than a year, many options started putting up, and now you see more people interested in doing some startups, mostly replicating what already exists in other countries, but Mexico is lacking, like payment processors, getting your wage in Bitcoin, having all your productive chain in Bitcoin, having the ATMs, having all this ecosystem that Mexico has been more slowly getting into.
The one interesting thing for me is I know you've met with government people and you've met with the Mexican Central Bank, and they're quite open to Bitcoin, which is great to hear. The Mexican Central Bank, you met with them, and they essentially said that they like Bitcoin, and you also talked to them about doing some other sort of business. So I hate central banks and I hate government, but they're there, so might as well work with them, right?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, you were invited to that meeting, but you declined to go.
You can't put me in like with a central bank chairman. I can't keep my mouth shut. I'm going to say they're evil. I'm going to say that they're destroying the economy and that they're bad people, and then that won't help you. So I declined to go to that meeting.
Yeah, so we got into, I communicated with them when they set up the warning. They didn't issue a law, they just issue a warning, and they place it all in all public newspapers like they do when they have this public announcement that they wish everyone to see. They also send it to other government agencies, like the equivalent of the Mexican SEC and the equivalent of the Protection Commission for Financial Services. And what they said was, this is a warning, this is what it is, this is how it works, it doesn't have our backing or it isn't regulated by us. And for us, because it's not government issued coins, obligations are not settled if they're used with this coin, and it's up to the people that actually are in both ends if they want to settle it this way. But if they have a dispute, we won't be backing them. So, well, most of the people that use Bitcoin do it because they want to, so there's no one making them use it. Like, if you go to a country, you have to use their currency or you won't have a commercial exchange. So the first time in the meeting, they were quite open to know what we were doing, what was Bitcoin, how was the community doing. They told us that it was a very interesting technology. They actually knew some parts of how the technology worked. And they said that they would like to hear more about us and got interested in a project that we proposed there on the table that was using a Mexican type of blockchain to handle what would be equivalent to electronic cash. So for several people that are having their bills paid with cash or in commercial exchange, whatever, they could use their mobile phones. Most people in Mexico, no matter how poor they are, most of them have a mobile phone. So we got a second visit with them and a second meeting, and this time it was with the specialist and the head of the payment systems and with their tech team to know everything that we knew that the technology could help out to make this is what they told us. We want to have the best payment systems in the world, and if this is going to help us have it, if part of this technology is going to help us have it, we're open to it.
That's great. That's very different than the U.S., of course, where they're regulating like crazy. They're all over it. They're trying to, regulate every single aspect of Bitcoin. So in that sense, Mexico is much better, and that's quite typical of Mexico from what I've found is there isn't a ton of regulation. They're pretty hands-off, and so that's great. So for people looking into getting into Bitcoin and investing in certain companies, I think really Unisend would be a great one. They're active. They're one of the leaders here in Mexico. They're one of the leaders in Argentina. Argentina is a big Bitcoin community, and it's only going to grow, and Mexico is really going to grow, in my opinion. So Jose, why don't you let us know where people can contact you?
Yes, of course. My email is Jose Rodriguez at altis, altis.pw. And I have the webpage is unisend.com for Argentina, unisend.com.mx. And you can also find me in my webpage. It's altis.pw that I can write it when the video is up on YouTube for people to contact me if they're interested. And well, besides the exchange, it's a business that I really like, and it's something that is needed. It's one of the first steps. It must be the backbone for an actual financial system in Bitcoin. But I'm also open to other ideas and companies, because as I told you, what I want to develop is an ecosystem for this which I consider the most powerful financial tool up till now. And not only that, one that can actually work worldwide, something that the dollar and the euro were fighting to do, but they haven't been able, and I don't think they will be able to do, while Bitcoin has been used in most of the countries in the world, even countries where you don't actually see euros, dollars, or even metals.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jose Rodriguez will be down here at Acapulco, February 27th to March 1st, right here on the beach behind me. A lot of the Mexican Bitcoin community will be here. So if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff, definitely check it out. And you can meet up with a lot of the people who are really doing things down here. And I think it's got a ton of potential. So that's just anarchapulco.com, ANARCHAPULCO.com. I think if you just put it in Google, you'll find it. Going to be a lot of great Bitcoin people here. So if that interests you at all, you should definitely check it out. And so that's basically it. I'd like to thank Jose, and we'll see you down here in less than a month now. And that's it for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
This is Anarchast.